Alright, so today I am doing one of my last Perfecting Blackwings videos. Perfecting Blackwings number 40, the good, the bad, the end. Um, so I'm going to be talking about all the new support that the deck's gotten from that new pack, like the Dragon Legend thingy that came with Steam and all the others. And any other cards that are relevant to the deck that are either new or older cards that are kind of coming back to it. And the place for the deck now, what it needs, and just kind of an everything. I'm just basically talking about Blackwings, just everything to do with this video. If there's anything I don't cover that you guys want me to talk about, please leave a comment below, and I'll try to get back to you on that. But let's just get into it. Let's talk about the new cards the deck has. So first of all, Blackwings Steam the Cloak. This one probably has the most potential out of every single one of the cards that the deck got recently. It's a tuner. It's level 3. You can special summon itself. It can basically what it does for the deck is it gives you instant level 9 access. Level 9 in question being Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree, which is pretty good this format because of cards like the hands, and also the artifacts don't target, so it doesn't affect those. But there's a lot of cards that target that it's very good against, like Draco Sack and Big Eye. There's a lot of stuff floating around that targets, and the fact that you can't target except for in the main phase 2 is really good. So it's a powerhouse when you play it. The problem with Steam is that it can clog your hand, and really when you're playing it, the only time you're ever using its built-in effect to special summon itself is when you play it for the first time. So, like let's say you play Steam and then special summon a Bora, or you play Shura and special summon this from the deck. You make that level 7 synchro. The only time you're ever going to get a chance really to special summon the Steam is if you special summon it right there when you have the token. Because outside of when you have that token, there's rarely a very good opportunity to special summon it again, because you don't really have any monsters that are just like, oh, well, I can tribute this off, it's unimportant. That token is pretty much your only way that you're special summoning it. So you either have to instantly go into the Leo with it, or, actually, it's not level 9, it's level 10, isn't it? I'm good at math. Ignore me. Anyways, it's so you either have to go into the level 10 Leo play right there, or you have to have another monster to summon, like a Zephyros from your graveyard, or another Bora or something like that. You have to do something with it right away, or you're going to lose your opportunity to play it. So that can be pretty awkward with it. I think it's a card it's really strong, but I feel like it needs to have a place. It's very metagame specific. If there's not something that is specifically tackling, like the hands, for instance, then it kind of loses its purpose. Like, let's say against Light Sworns, it's not as good against them. Yes, they have stuff that targets, like I mentioned before, the level 7 or the rank 7s. But a lot of that deck, they're gonna look at Leo and be like, I'm just gonna JD that. I don't care. So, it can be good and it can be bad depending on the format. Right now it's decent, but I don't know if it's really worth main decking. The more I played with it, the more I felt like, it's good, but do I really want to be using one of my slots for this, where instead I could be using it for like another trap card or something? So I decided to opt to not play it, but I think it definitely has value in the deck, and it's very good. Out of all the new cards, though, it is by far the best one we've gotten. Moving on, Orochi the Squall. This card got a lot of hype. I really don't feel like it's that good. First of all, it changes the battle position of the monster at the wrong time for you. You really wanted to be changing the position before the synchro. That way you could be like, okay, I'm going to summon my Shura, special summon Squall from my hand, book your monster, and then attack over it. Then I get another special summon from the Shura. The fact that it does this after you synchro, I feel like is really what makes this card not work, because it's a very little thing, but it does make a big difference in how it plays. Beyond that, the fact that it's a level 5, or that gives you level 5s, because it's a level 1 tuner, I feel like is a little underwhelming. I mean, Adrius is good and all, but the deck level 5s isn't really what you want to be doing right now. They're not that strong right now, aside from Adrius, which isn't that hard to make. From other scenarios, like you can make that with Blizzard if you really have to. It's not really what you want to be doing with the deck right now. You really need to be making cards that impact the board more. They have a greater impact on the board, let's say. It's just not as strong. Like if I'm dedicating 2 cards to make a synchro, it better be damn good. And the level 5s just don't have that kind of power behind it. I'd rather just play something else and make like a level 8 synchro, you know? So it's okay. I really don't. It's kind of like how Breeze was. People were like, "Oh, Breeze is going to be the new Gale for the deck. I can search it and special summon it." Like, it just wasn't that good. It just wasn't worth the dedication. Moving on, we have Hurricane the Tornado. This card looks so derpy. It's got like pants and a t-shirt. You're not a Blackwing. What the fuck? This card is so weird. Again, same thing, level 1 tuner. It really holds the card back in that aspect. If you already have a synchro out, you really don't need another tuner, so it's kind of like in that weird space with that. But it's like, it's a tuner, but it's a beat stick. So, what? It fills this really weird space. And if you already have the synchro, you don't really need this. Why not just play something else? In Blackwings... Oh, and another important thing is that it can't special summon itself, which is a real big thing for tuner in Blackwings. Like, a lot of them have some condition where they can special summon themselves, or they're just really good on their own. Like, Blizzard, really good on its own. This just isn't good on its own. And in Blackwings, like, you don't need another beefy monster. The deck is just full of beefy monsters or monsters that get beefier from Kalut. Like, you're not lacking in that department. So he just doesn't really have a place in the deck. He just doesn't do anything that you need. Black Sonic, this card I got a lot of questions about. I think this card is decent for sure, but it kind of filled the same space that Delta Crow used to have. It was just like, you know, Delta Crow's good and all, but why would I play that when I could just play like Mystical Space Typhoon or Heavy Storm back in the day? It's like I could just play something that's less situational. And that's really what this card is. It's situational. You're not always going to have a Blackwing out. Sometimes you're going to have a Synchro or an XYZ, and that's really relevant that you can't protect your Synchros and your XYZs with this. Like, if I'm playing like my Key Beetle, I want to protect that. I don't want my Key Beetle dying. Black Sonic doesn't help that. So, you know, I want a Dimensional Prison to protect it from that Fire Hand attacking into it. That's much more relevant than killing all their monsters. Because, like, let's be honest, how often are you playing against someone that's like, okay, Dimensional Prison is good versus this deck? How often versus that deck is Black Sonic that much better? Where it's like, oh, well, if I didn't have this, then I just get blown out because they swarm so much. That doesn't happen. Those kinds of decks are more grindy. Like the Hat deck, that's much more grindy. You're not really blowing them out with Black Sonic that much. And it's really held back by the fact that you can't protect your XYZs and Synchros. Like, I can't impress that enough on you. That is really important. You have to protect those. Without those, you can't defend yourself. You need to have your Key Beetles and stuff. You need to defend them, because that's really what Blackwings is right now. It's a lot of protect the castle. You make one really good XYZ or Synchro, and you protect it with your life. Moving on, Blackwings Revenge. This card really just has no place in the deck. It doesn't really do much for you. All you can really do with it is use it for Icarus attack or make a Synchro with it, I guess. You don't need this. It doesn't do anything for the deck. Don't waste your space on it. There are better cards you can be playing. If you really need another monster to Synchro with that's like at a trap spell speed, just play like Call the Haunted or something. Honestly, this card, it doesn't do anything on its own, and it's only good if you're trying to work your way up, really. And you can't even XYZ with it, I don't think. Can you XYZ with tokens? I'm not 100% sure on that. I know you don't get them as like materials, but like I don't think you can XYZ with them. And like even if you could, fucking level 2. Like what are you gonna do with that? There's no good plays. It's jank. Don't play it. Soul Charge, obviously very powerful card. Everyone knows it. This card is great. Um, Blackwings can have a hard time using this since it's more of a control style deck right now, and you can be kind of hard pressed for space with all the control cards that you're playing. The deck is kind of limited in space in that aspect. If you can fit it in the deck, it is very good. It opens up a lot of plays. It can help you refuel when you burn out after special summoning those monsters you want to protect. And it's really good against the kind of set 5 kind of decks. Because sometimes you do just kind of have to play your monsters into that back row, and this can help you kind of fight through that. So it is good. It's just I have a personal hard time fitting it into the deck. I gotta figure out how to get that in my deck, but yeah, it's good if you can fit it in. Moving on for non-new cards. This is an older card that didn't get a lot of attention back in the day. Koichi did a break. It is so much better now than it used to be. Oh my god. There are more rank 4s that you can make now that actually impact the game versus just like Utopia and stuff. Like back then, you couldn't make shit with this. It was just make Utopia for value, I guess. It's whatever. Now you have like really good stuff like 101 and Key Beetle. Key Beetle is just like your go-to now in this deck. It's so good. And a lot of your answers to top decks are in your extra deck too, like your Abyss Dweller and other cards like that. So, this card just opens up so many like possibilities in the deck for outplay potential and just like your outs. Like this card is just so many outs, and it gives you the level 8 access to if you normal summon it. Speaking of which, it gives you access to a new level 8. Bells of the Diabolic Dragons. That card's pretty good. It's kind of like your new Stardust. Oh my god, I used to love playing this versus Light Sworns before they got the new Synchro. Just pooped on them. Imagine playing this versus old Light Sworns. They're just like, hope I hit Plague Spreader and make a Vulcan, and hope you don't have an answer to that, and if you do, a scoop. Because they didn't have shit to get over that. It's really good versus the hands too. A lot of decks have problems with it. It's a really easy card to protect. People do not have a lot of outs to it if they can't negate the summon. So that card can put in a lot of work if you resolve it. It's probably one of the best, if not the best, sure targets right now. Like it's really a toss-up between this, Vayu, and Steam. I'm going to be talking about Vayu later on in the video, and I already touched on Steam. But between this and Steam, I feel like this has much more impact on the board than Steam, and the amount of versatility it has is a big thing. Like Steam is only making you Leo basically, whereas Koichi has an array of choices, which is really important for the deck. Like choice is good. So Koichi, big thumbs up. Play it. It's amazing. Moving on, we got Vanities and the card I've been talking a ton about, Key Beetle. Vanities is your new oppression for the deck. It's your go-to control card, basically. Like without this deck, without this card, you have a really hard time kind of controlling the meta and keeping other decks at your pace. It's like the same reason that Bujins play Kaiser Coliseum. It's just your control card, and it keeps them doing what you want. You have to be aware of people blowing you out with Mystical Space Typhoon, which can kind of deter you from playing it, so you might not want to run it as a 3-av. But I feel like it's a really important card, especially against decks like Light Sworns, or even Gears. Like, you just flip that, and they're like, well, if I don't have the MST, you just kind of pooped on me. And they just pass, and you just wreck them from there. You even if it just stops them from one turn, that one turn can be all you need sometimes to get, like, a solidified lead on the board and get like your foothold on them to control every move they make from there on after, because you were able to make some XYZ or synchro that will further progress your control. So it's a really good card, and if you play Key Beetle with it, it protects it so they can't MST it or MST something else to pop it. So Key Beetle, Vanities, amazing control combo. It can end games on its own. I've won a lot of games by just going Shura, attack your monster, get Koichi, XYZ for Key Beetle, target my set, pass. Flip vanities on the draw. You have nothing. If they don't draw like a dark hole or something, a lot of decks just have no answer to that, and they just are like, GG, I guess. they have to draw the dark hole, or they just lose. It's very hard breaking that combo. Moving on, Delta Crow Anti-Reverse and Wiretap. Wiretap is a new control card for the deck. It's basically a better 7 Tools of the Bandit. You lose the life point cost, and it puts it in the deck instead. Both very good cards. I feel like right now, it's personal preference in which one you use, but I feel like, in my eyes, Delta Crow is a little better, because let's look at the scenarios where you have X card in your hand. So I have X trap card that is either one of those, and I set it. I'm going to have one of two scenarios. Either A, I flip the Delta Crow and blow them out, or B, it gets negated by their Wiretap, and in that scenario, if I had a Wiretap set, all that Wiretap would be doing is getting wiretapped by their Wiretap when I wiretap one of their other cards when they try to activate it. So in that scenario, it's either I win on the spot, basically, or it gets wiretapped. So, you know, the upside is so much more than the upside in the wiretap, you know? The thing you lose out on is the fact that it's not a spell speed 3, but I feel like the rewards for playing Delta Crow are just so much higher and make it worth playing, because it just can end games. You Delta Crow them for 5, and they're just like, fuck! It's really good. As I said, I was going to talk about value. We got a new card a little while ago, Graham the Shining Star. I hyped this card a lot. I thought it was going to be what the deck needed, and I was wrong. It's just not as good as I thought it would be. More so that the fact that, not that it's bad so much as value just isn't as strong anymore. Because, like, you know, you make a Graham with a value, it's okay. It's just not that strong of a play. Like, the +1 that you get from value just is not as relevant as it used to be. That used to be a big thing. You grind people out with the values, but now it's less important to grind them out with a value so much as making a really important XYZ or Synchro. Like, I'd rather just make a Key Beetle or something, or a Leo, than play a Shining Star and then remove the Shining Star for an Armed Wing. Like, that's just not as impressive, and it just doesn't impact the board very much. It's just lackluster. It's just not as powerful as it used to be, and that's just really power creep for you, you know? And that's really what's hurt the deck mostly out of everything. Like, as you've noticed, the deck started slowly getting cards back, and it still isn't able to keep up, and that's power creep right there. I'm going to go back into that a little bit more at the end of the video, but moving on. Dark Arm Dragon. Oh my god, don't even fucking get me started. I've had so many people ask me, like, should I play Dark Arm Dragon? Or I've seen lists where people aren't playing it, and they're like, well, it's preference to play Dark Arm Dragon. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you see this Dark Arm Dragon? Do you see those attack points and that effect? Does this look like the Dark Arm Dragon of Mercy to you? Oh my god, just play the card. It's broken. It's one of the few broken cards you actually have in the deck, and you're gonna cut it? Are you kidding me? Oh no, I might draw it like as my 20th card in the game and it'll be dead. If the game's going that long, you're probably winning because Blackwings do good in the late game because you just have the incremental advantage from the Black Whirlwind. Like, if you're at that point, you're probably winning. And if not, then it's not the Dark Arm Dragon's fault that you lost that game. So, this card wins games on its own. That's like saying, I'm not going to play Heavy Storm, or I'm not going to play Dark Hole because Dark Hole can kill my own monsters. That's just retarded. Just play the goddamn Dark Arm Dragon because it's OP as fuck. If it was at 3, you would play 3. Like, that's not even a thought. You just play it. All these people that haven't played back in the day when this card was at 2 or 3 do not know the power of Dark Arm Dragon. They forget. They need a lesson in how powerful this card is. It really needs to be put back at 3 just to make people remember the terror of Dark Armed Dragon, be all Attack on Titan style, and that was the day that humanity was reminded of how it was living in a cage or whatever. Like, fucking Dark Armed Dragon is a monster and does not take names or show mercy. Just play the goddamn thing. So that was the end of my rant. I had to say it. It was pissing me off. So, what does the deck need to keep up with the metagame and actually be a relevant deck again? Because as you can see, Black Whirlwind include at 3 was not enough. Like, the deck can hold its own. It is good in its own right, but for all extensive purposes, it is a tier 2 deck. It is good, but it is not going to win tournaments. You might see a rogue Blackwing deck top every now and then, but that is doubtful, and it's not a deck you're going to bring to like a YCS or an ARG and expect to top with. It is something you're going to play because you like the deck and you're just playing it because you want to play it. You're not playing it and you'll be surprised if you top. You're like, oh, Blackwing's actually topped. So this goes back to the power creep of the deck. The cards that it has back now used to be really strong, but they're just not as strong anymore comparatively to what everything else has. Because, like, Black Whirlwind, I don't know how to put it. The best comparison I can make is to Boojins. Boojins are just a better Blackwing deck. They have the same thing. They have the searchability. They have the honest. They can protect themselves. It plays very similarly, but the big difference that the deck has is the extra deck. You look at an extra deck for Boojins, you have high impact cards in every single slot. You look at Blackwings, a lot of the cards just aren't high impact. Armor Master, Armed Wing, those aren't high impact anymore. Armor Master used to be really good, but you compare the quality of an Armor Master to Susanoo. I probably murdered that. Whatever. I'm just gonna start calling them by the name from the fucking anime. I'm gonna call him Jaden Mark II. But you compare it to that. Which one's better? The choice is obvious. The one that's the Susanoo. It's really powerful. All of their monsters really powerful. You look at their Jaden Mark I, the Yamamoto. I can't pronounce them. Don't judge me. Why am I playing this deck? I can't pronounce any of them. You compare that to Shura, the closest equivalent to it in the deck. It's clearly more powerful. It's much less conditional. The Shura, it has to actually attack over something, whereas the Yamamoto, you just pass. Whatever. It's just so much more powerful. Every card in the deck, it just does the same thing better. The Bora of the deck, it has more attack points, and you don't have to have something else to special summon it. You just special summon it, basically. The Sirocco of the deck, it actually does something. The Mikazuki, I think it's pronounced. That's like the closest thing to Sirocco to me in the deck. That thing, it's got 100 less attack, but you can actually summon it, and it actually has an effect that's relevant. And all the dead draws in the deck are still better than a dead draw on Blackwings, like a Blizzard or something. Like, at least it's dead draws that have 1,700 attack. And it's much more consistent, too. You're always going to be getting what you want because you have so many search cards. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, the power creep has really held Blackwings back. It's at a point where back in the day, it would be comparatively really strong, but not anymore. So what the deck needs now is some cards to kind of not only keep up with the other decks, but do something that they don't do. Because you look at Blackwings, they do what the other decks do, but in an inferior way. So you need to do something that they can't do, or do something they do better. So what does it need? To get the speed back, to keep up with them? I think it needs Gale back. It's not a big deal, but it'd be nice to keep up with them. It's your accelerator, lets you make plays. But the big thing that I think the deck really needs is Dark Strike Fighter, to give you that inevitability and that reach and that fear. Like, I am at a lot lower life points than I think I am at right now. Like, I may be at 8,000, but that's really like 6,000 or less if he goes for Dark Strike Fighter, So it makes them think more. Like, shit, this damage is a lot more relevant, and you can just push for game a lot more. Like, it just gives you those game-winning scenarios a lot more, and it makes the swarming of Blackwings relevant. Because that was one of the strengths Blackwings always had, its ability to swarm. You take that well, no, they took it away, but then they kind of slowly gave it back. But it's purposeless swarming now, basically. Like, okay, I summoned a bunch of Blackwings. What am I going to do with them? Well, I can make an Armor Master. Okay. It's what you do with your monsters isn't very impactful anymore. And that's the big theme of this video, like, impact. There's not a lot of impactful things you do in the deck anymore compared to other decks. And Darkstrike Fighter would give you that kind of impact. Decks, you have that reach against them where you can just randomly kill them out of nowhere. So that's my thoughts on Blackwings right now. Again, I think the deck is pretty good. My highlights to take away from the video would be play Koichi, play Vanities, and to play Delta Crow. I feel like those are some of the strongest choices you can make in the deck right now. Beyond that, I'm probably not going to be making any more Perfecting Blackwings for some time, if at all, because I really don't think that there's going to be anything else to really talk about with the deck. Like, they're probably not getting any more support anytime soon. If they do, I'll make another video, of course. I don't see them having any changes in the ban list anytime soon, but if they do, I'll mention that. I mean, Goyode was a change for the deck, and that's nice and all, but it's not enough to really do anything for the deck. It's just kind of an offhand, noteworthy thing. Unless something really changes for the deck, I'm probably not going to make any more videos for Blackwings, unfortunately, because the deck's just an inferior choice to other decks right now. So, that being said, I'm going to be moving on to Boojins right now. Because, as I mentioned earlier, it just does the same thing better. I'm still learning the deck a bit right now, but once I kind of get the handle of it, I'll start making some videos about the deck if you would like. Trying to get up to, like, at least 1K rating on DN before I do anything, because I just feel like such a scrub with just, like under 1K. Ideally, I want to be higher than that, but, I'm just kind of brushing off the rust still right now. Being out of the game this long will really make you rusty and forget how mechanics are and such. But, so yeah, I'll make a deck profile soon. If you guys have any cards for the deck, I am looking for stuff so I can rebuild the deck and start playing again, because I really would like to play the game seriously again. Go to regionals and stuff, make video profiles of people that top there, maybe top myself. Who knows? Anything could happen. But yeah, if you guys have any stuff for trade, please let me know. I'll be posting an updated an updated binder video and some deck profiles coming up soon. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe.